This one is really good. The one that the task that ChatGPT sent me today. Um, I asked about manifestors previously, and today it sent me about projectors' unique role, and I really like this, and I think you'll probably appreciate it. Non-sacral beings are designed to work with energy in a deeply refined and efficient way, unlike generators who generate life force energy continuously. Projectors are here to master the art of recognizing and directing the energy of others. This guiding role is not a passive function, it's an active, dynamic interplay that depends on the ability to see and understand systems, patterns, and people around them. So they're more aligned towards understanding people and patterns and systems around them. The open sacral center. So if you're going to say that they're not sacral people, you're saying they obviously have a sacral. But in this case, the open sacral acts as a mirror, amplifying and reflecting the sacral energy of others. So when you say a projector doesn't have much energy, that's not really the way that it should be stated, right? Like that maybe would confuse people, because then you can see people that are projectors that have tons of energy. When a projector enters into someone's aura, they can feel the other person's sacral energy and discern how it's being used, whether it's efficiently or wastefully. This ability to see how energy flows is what makes them natural guides. However, the amplification of sacral energy comes with a double-edged sword. Projectors often feel the urge to act as if they are sacral beings themselves, meaning that they have the defined sacral in part of them. This can lead towards overwork, towards burnout, towards bitterness if they don't honor their design by waiting for recognition and invitation. I would add to this that they learn skills and that they develop and grow. Like, that's fine that you do these things. I think part of it is just recognizing what is your design and what is your designing yourself to become more, and learning what's more kind of like your strength, inherent strength, versus something you're going to give a shot and not beat yourself up about if it's harder and then for other people. That's how I would state it. I would also state that there's different types of projectors that have access to other motors like solar plexus and the root and the will ego, and that they have that the sacral is not the only motor, the only energy source. So, anyways, so I worry that a projector or someone else that interacts with the projector is like, oh, just let them sleep all the time. They don't have to do much. Like, all these different things, because it's almost like they're coddling the projector. Projectors need to understand themselves and work within their expertise, of course, but also learn how to work in a world that is built for generators. And so, obviously, that last statement, you don't want them to overwork and burn out. They need to understand that maybe they're a little bit, I guess, behind the eight ball, that they have a little bit more to go on some of these things. Like, it's going to be a little bit harder for them, but people can do hard stuff. But also look towards that bitterness aspect, that they're aware that if they push themselves, like faster than they can run or more than is ought to be, whatever scripture aspect, that they, it is not meet that you run faster than you should, or whatever that scripture is. So They still need to run. It's not, don't run because you're a projector. It's don't push yourself so hard that you're going to be so disappointed with yourself because it is harder for you in general. All right, at an advanced level, the open sacral center also gives projectors the ability to tune themselves to the energy dynamics of specific environments. For example, and I would say the other way, like this isn't as easy for a generator, and it's downright much harder for a manifester to do this stuff that the projector says. But does that mean that the generator or the manifester shouldn't try to be able to tune themselves to the energy dynamics of specific environments? No, I think that there's plenty of generators and maybe even some manifestors that can do that. And maybe do it well. But adeptness. The projector has more adeptness, more capability. And maybe the capability means, it's the Maxwell quote. God gives us... man, I forget it right now. He doesn't ask for our... Well, he says, gives us capability, and then our... There's such a good quote, and I've just botched it all. All right. Anyways, moving on. For example, a projector with a defined G-center might intuitively align themselves with environments or people that are in resonance with their own sense of direction or identity, amplifying their impact as guides. All right. Well, that's a great example. I'd love for it to give more examples like that. That would be awesome. The role of defined centers. Oh, are we moving to... Oh, that's with projectors. So projectors often have defined centers that connect their guiding energy to specific focus. For example, defined G center, or the identity and love center, is what I call it, because who knows what G center means? It's an obscure word, and if we want it to be more relatable to other people, why are we using these things? Anyways, I call it the identity and love center, as opposed to the will and ego and all the other ones. The throat, the intuition, as opposed to splenic. Anyways, these projectors have those with the defined G center. Did it again. These projectors have a fixed sense of identity and direction. Their ability to guide stems from strong inner compass, allowing them to align others with their authentic path. Okay, so if you're saying projectors are good at understanding where people are at, the patterns and people and systems, and then if they have a defined G-center, then that energy is more consistent in their life. Therefore, they're probably more familiar with it. And therefore, that can help them help others align others, because that's kind of their push, is they want to align the others, and, they're more even than themselves most of the time. They are natural leaders in helping others discover their purpose and direction in life. So, good job to those defined G-center projectors, of which I am not, but that doesn't mean that I can't help others discover their purpose and direction in life. It's saying that a defined G-center projector is more predisposed to have that ability. Defined throat center, which I am not. For projectors with a defined throat, their guidance often manifests through their ability to communicate, teach, or express ideas. That doesn't mean that I'm bad at communicating, teaching, or expressing ideas, but I do see that it wasn't a given. It wasn't natural. It wasn't like just part of who I've always been. Like, some may say, not everyone, that I'm pretty good at communicating and teaching and expressing ideas, but that just is 40 plus years of work on it. And also, there are other energies inside of people. It's not just the throat, like there's different gates that do different things. And so having other centers defined, the processing and the receptor for the thinking aspects, for the head centers, that can definitely help and be useful to communicate and teach. And an undefined throat center means that there's still throat energy. It's just comes and goes. And that's when I always say, like, man, I suck at teaching today. I suck at communicating this today. And other times I'm like, man, I'm amazing right now. Like right now, I feel like I'm doing a good job. And there could be other days, or even just with other people, where I'm talking to them and it's just not working. That can happen to a lot of people, but man, is that such a projector sort of thing. That concept is just a little bit more projectory. So, okay, and for these projectors, those words carry energy to influence others deeply. The communication, when recognized and invited, recognized and invited isn't just the words other people say. It's the energy that the projectors are in tune with. Does that person, are they emitting, putting out there an energy of like, I really want to hear from this projector. What do they have to say? And the projector, a good in tune one, will feel that, and it will invigorate them, it will energize them, and they will be able to teach better than ever, or share something better than ever. And in the inverse, when they don't feel that and they don't see it, because communication is more than just verbal, and they don't see all that, then they are just like, I don't know, they can get a little bit bitter. That's kind of what happens, and they just be like, I'm not feeling like people care or respected on this aspect. All right, emotional projectors. With a defined emotional solar plexus, these projectors must navigate the emotional wave as part of their decision-making process. So, when you have emotional center defined, that means that your authority is emotional. No matter what type, projector, manifester, generator, they can all be emotional authority. So, and I've described this in the past many times, this is like multiple lessons kind of intertwined here, that authority doesn't mean that there is only one authority. It means if you had a council, think of it this way, if you had a council of many people to talk to, you've got the emotional, the gut, the mental, the ego, the intuitional. When you have all these in there, you can make decisions with a lot of those. But the authority in human design says that the head, the co-chair, that the chairman, the president, the person in the council you really want to look at for advice the most on especially the big things is that main authority. So an emotional projector, their main authority is going to be the emotional. That doesn't mean you can't delegate, that chairman of the board can't delegate and say, hey, look, this isn't a huge thing. This is a small decision. Go with your gut, or go with what you think. Go with, your intuition. Like, delegates. But it's like, hey, this is a big, impactful thing. You know it. You can sense it. Let me take from information from the rest of you, perhaps. But mostly, I'm going to be looking at those emotional waves. Anyways, their guidance comes from intellectual, not only from these other things like intellectual clarity, and I would say intuition, like your sacral gut energy. Anyways, all right. Strategy of waiting for recognition. At the core of the projector's mechanic is the strategy of waiting for recognition and invitation. This is not a passive waiting, but a period of refinement and self-mastery. This is the time when the projectors are Well, it says here, honing their craft. I was just about to say this, honing their craft, delving deeply into the area of expertise, cultivating their ability, getting way into a subject, even just a hobby, way into music of some sort. They're just like, they're learning all about these things because they're just waiting for that day when someone asks them about it, you know? So they delve deeply into their areas of expertise and cultivate their ability to see into the systems and people around them. They naturally attract invitations that allow them to fulfill their purpose. So they often just exude that, you would say, exude that energy or exude that aura of like, I should ask that person a little bit about that subject. Like, they seem like not only they may have the answer, but they may be excited to share it if I ask them. You know, like that's just that type of person in your life that you're like, oh, like I don't want to inconvenience them. It's like, oh, they may not be a projector, but they're like, oh, they'd probably be happy for me to ask them. A projector that's also in that energy, you know, like they're feeling their projectorness, you know, like because there could be some that are just like, I never learned this. I grew up with generators or manifestors all around me. I didn't understand this, how this all works. So maybe you can't just always expect a projector to be that way, because there is nature and there is nurture. So they see systems and people around them to naturally attract invitations that allow them to fulfill their purpose. Advanced projectors understand the nuance of recognition. True recognition goes beyond surface level acknowledgement. It's about being seen for their unique abilities and the depth of their insight. This one hits hard, man. Now, I could definitely see where a lot of projectors are just like, I've never even really thought about this, you know, but like as they go further and further into that energy, this probably is going to resonate very strongly for them. And, you know, like a lot of other people may like, you know, I like being recognized. I like being acknowledged and all these things. We are all very, like these energies of all the things, all the centers, all of the gates are something for every single person. And to have those things healthy or not healthy, consistent or not consistent, is something to consider for each person. But we're talking generalities and probabilities, and just with projectors, this means it hits, as the kids would say, it hits different. So they often learn to discern between invitations that are aligned with their purpose and those that are not. So don't just take every invitation. Don't just jump on everything because, oh, you know, like this discernment is key to avoiding bitterness. Like, because they said the words, you know, maybe take a moment and say, is this going to go well? Like, are they going to care 1 minute from now? Because they may just be asking something, and we may not have been attuned to the energy of, like, are they really caring or not? Like, you can say, like, look, not everyone has these sorts of energies, you know, like a manifestor isn't going to often ask, invite so much. Some may get okay at it. They've been told to do this, you know, like, oh, it's not like a natural thing. They're like, oh, this works well when I ask for such and such a thing. But anyways, so that is to say that even with an invitation, you don't always have to share it all, because, and you may want to, but you may need to think about it. How well are they going to receive it? How much distractions are all around them? Do you really want to start that conversation when you know that you have 2 minutes before they get distracted by something else, and then you'll feel it. It'll hit you hard, depending on how into that energy you are. Do you want to start this? Answer the question. Because when they get distracted, you're going to feel that sort of thing that's what they call bitterness and unrecognized. And it's just like it's going well. They get distracted, and you need to know yourself. You're like, man, I'm going to be in a bad mood after that. Not like terribly bad, but it's just going to impact you. Which arises when their energy is misused or unrecognized. So not just unrecognized, but misused. So projectors face unique challenges, particularly around energy management and self-worth. At a high level, mastering their energy requires energetic boundaries, learning to disengage from the amplified energy of open sacral center and knowing when to rest. So you can, that's me when, at an event, keep going, keep matching their energy, keep going late in the evening, and then you're like, why am I a mess? Why can't I regulate these emotions? Why am I so tired right now? You know, and you get someone maybe that's like another boost of energy, and you're like, okay, I can do a little bit longer, but it's just like, how long are you going to be able to? And you do want to push yourself. You always want to progress and push yourself, but you need to know to what point. So you got projectors in your life. Don't just say, oh, they're a projector, I'm going to leave them alone, let them take their, always nap and always do things and give them never-ending excuses. Don't. Just don't. Do you recognize where they're at? Sure. Do you recognize that these things may be harder for them? Sure. Do you give them more grace? Sure. Do you just say, oh, that they're projected, that's just how they are? And no, I don't think you do that. I don't think you do that for any type. I think, yeah, that's what I think on that strongly, obviously, since I've mentioned that several times. All right, self-recognition, understanding their own value, independent of external validation. So this is going to be a thing that projectors likely work on their whole life, and maybe that's very tied to their identity and love center, the G center, which paradoxically makes them more attractive to aligned invitations. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Like, projectors and their relationship to the identity center is interesting. I haven't really spent much time in that, but that's cool. Specialization, diving deeply into their areas of interest and expertise, which enhances their ability to guide with precision and authority. Yeah, give a projector, especially if you got kids, like, give them something to be a specialist in. They're going to love that with their energy, and they're going to be a help to the world, and they're going to have friends hopefully inviting them to share and to direct and all that sort of stuff. All right, closing thoughts. Projectors' design is a study in efficiency and precision. They are not here to do all the work, but to direct the energy of those who do. Again, they should do some of the work. They do have a sacral center. It's not defined. They're not going to be as good at go, consistent 9-to-5 jobs. They're not going to be as good at it naturally, but they can become better at it than generators, because they need to still learn to live in this world and to do these sorts of things. There's plenty of projectors out there with 9-to-5 jobs that are doing just fine. And is it Hard? Yeah, sure, it can be hard for them. When aligned with their strategy and authority, projectors create transformative impact, enabling others to use their energy more effectively. Their unique ability to see, guide, and refine the systems they engage with is a gift to the collective, offering clarity and leadership in a world that often prioritizes doing over being. Projectors, they do love the concept of being more than doing, like they're the type of people that maybe want to talk not just about what has happened, but like a big subject, an interest, that sort of thing. All right. I have a side note that I'm just going to append to this conversation that is now already 25 minutes. But man, if I had this when I was starting to learn human design, this would be so, so awesome. And this part is a little bit more of a fun self-reflection. But if you ever meet a projector, there's multiple types of projectors, right? You've got emotional projectors, which have the connection to the solar plexus. They're kind of different. Now, you could say that every authority is a different type of projector. That's fine. That's fine. You could do it that way. But I would say that there's energy projectors. There's generic projectors. I don't know if that's the best way to say it. And then there's mental projectors. You could break it into just those three. That means you could see a little bit more out of energy projectors. That they're going to be a little bit different. They're probably going to be a little bit more like generators in different ways. And there's 3 motor centers. They could have there's 4. They could have a connection to 3 of them. The will and ego, which is 1. The emotional, which is 2. And the root, or the push, which is 3. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, and then the sacral, which is the 4th. 4 could be the 1st. These aren't the order of importance, just the order in which I'm stating them. All right, so now if you found a projector that had 3 of the 4, because you can't have 4 of the 4, if you had 3 of the 4, then it's a very different type of motor energy projector. And then there's the others. They're often going to be like split definition. They're going to have some things that they're not going to have the sacral, and they're likely not going to have the throat, or it's going to be throat to intuition. Like they're going to be a little bit different. They're probably going to have a little bit lower energy, generally speaking. And then you have the mental projectors, which is me. So if you come across my type, which is very rare, like maybe 1 in 100 people, maybe 2 in 100, 1.5, I think is the stats. I can't remember. If you do come across that, they're like the most projector of projectors. So if you go through that list of what we just went through, of these ones that, like all this stuff, this wanting to learn different things, hone their craft, delve deeply into things, and just so many of these things. They don't have the defined chi center. They don't, like there's so many things inside of a mental projector that of all of them, they're the most projectory. I just want to say that. And then you have profiles, right? And the most projector profile is a 5-1. You're going to meet more 5-1 projectors than you will mental projectors. There's going to be a lot more of those. So anyways, that is probably more something to look at, because then they become, that profile is the type of person that they have this focus on learning things and becoming a source where people can come to, and they're the problem solving. 5 is the problem solver. 1 is the investigator. Talk about the perfect combination for a projector. So I feel like I come to this from a little bit of authority of projectors because I am the mental 5-1 projector. And the most projector, not the most, but one of the most projector gates to have is gate 16, which is this learn things gate. Like, I want to learn it and then I want to share it. Gate of enthusiasm, gate of like the speaker. Now there could be other um, like head gates that are a little bit more that could help in those sorts of things and be more projector like. But 16 is so there. So I am projector 5-1 mental, and my primary gate is 16. So here's some thoughts from me, and now take it with a grain of salt because they're so like everyone's lives their different type in different ways, and they're going to be different because that's how human design is. Everyone seems to have a different design, and then everyone on top of it is influenced by the energies and the ways that people act around them. That's called nurture. So we're all a little bit different, and that was my fun little side note addition to this, which I don't know. Share what you think. All right, bye.